Welcome to the Dr. Hockey Podcast. I'm Dr. Jay Calvert, and I am here today with a very special podcast. We have a myriad of guests. I'm here, of course, with my co-host, Firefox Jason Berkeley. Dr. Berkeley, how are you doing?
You're really going to keep going with that nickname.
Listen,
great nickname.
That nickname was, you were anointed, Firefox, by our other guest co-host, Kevin Connolly.
It's a great nickname, Firefox.
And, of course, we have Mia Khalifa parachuting in for this special podcast.
So happy to be here.
Great to have you here. And we are welcoming our amazing guest from Anaheim Ducks lore, Teemu Selanne. How are you, Mr. Selanne?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
We are so happy to have you here. We're excited to talk about your new book entitled My Life. And this is an incredible book, which I think Jason read it cover to cover. I got through a bunch of it, but love it. It's a great book, and we're happy that you have put this out for everybody to read. I was not expecting half the stuff that I read in there.
Yeah, I hope the people are going to like it. And, it's a story about my life and ups and downs. And, I try to be really honest about everything and open up way more than just hockey stories. Everybody knows the hockey, but the journey, how everything happened and how I felt about it. And, I was pretty happy about it.
Well, we're happy that you're here on the Dr. Hockey Podcast because I know that Dr. Berkeley has some medical questions because you had some medical challenges. And, of course, we want to touch on the injuries. But there were some issues, and, Jason, maybe you want to kind of dive into it right away.
Yeah, Teemu, thanks for coming. This is an honor to meet you. You mentioned something earlier on that happened in your playing career when you were a teenager, and you started developing a lot of leg pain and knee pain, and it was really hard for you to skate. And before that, you were flying up and down the ice, and then it kind of slowed you down. You were diagnosed with something called Osgood-Schlatters Disease, which is inflammation to the growth plates that happens in the knees and the legs, happens with athletes and the growing pains. And you mentioned something in the book that I thought was fascinating, how when you had that and you didn't stop playing, which was amazing because I know it's a very painful condition, but you said it gave you an opportunity to sit back and look at the game and observe the game differently. Please elaborate on that, because I thought that was one of the most fascinating things in the book that I read.
Yeah, I've always been very fast skater and runner, and I think my game was all about speed at the time, and when this happened and I couldn't really skate 100% anymore, I had to adjust my game, and slow down, obviously, and I started seeing the game different way. And I think that really improved my passing and the way I saw the teammates, and I had to start using different key things in my game. And I think when I look back, I think that's really helped me my all-round game. And obviously my training, like I couldn't run, I couldn't jump, so I started biking and swimming a lot, So I think all those things has helped. I always believe that training, if you can do that many different ways, it's gonna give a good result. So, but it was tough time. It was right at age 15 when other guys, are gonna get girls and mopeds and little alcohol maybe in the picture, and the focus goes somewhere else. So I was just worried about that if I don't enjoy the sports as much as I used to. So, luckily, we went to doctor with my father, and first couple of doctors said, I think you have to take a year off or whatever. And then my dad didn't give up. We went to the next doctor until we found the doctor who said, yeah, you can play as long as you can handle the pain. And here we go.
Yeah, it's not a condition that's going to cause any permanent injury, but it's painful.
It's so painful.
Yeah, I mean.
Both knees too,
Hockey's painful enough as it is. You got guys trying to, take your head off and slam you into a wall at 30 miles per hour. Then, you have this pain on top of it. It only makes sense that you had to see the ice differently.
Absolutely. And injuries are part of the game, obviously. But this was not really like an injury. It was just like when I was growing so fast, and it slowed me down. But again, that was a time that, people don't realize all the good things until something bad happened. And, I realized again how much the sports means for me, and how much I enjoy when I can play hockey and I can play tennis and run and track and field, whatever. And all of a sudden, when I can't do that, and when I was healthy again, how happy I was. It's a good wake up call sometimes.
Well, and of course, seeing the ice, differently from a speed game to a much more of a heady kind of game is going to obviously came back later on when this condition sort of probably petered out and you were able to skate because you were not a slow skater by any stretch of the imagination. You were definitely one of the faster guys on the ice. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, obviously scoring was my biggest passion. And sometimes, I didn't really, if we have a 2-on-1 and there's a joke that you never pass the puck to the worst player than you are. But a lot of times, I scored goals, and sometimes my dad always told me that you could pass in that. So he made this rule that
Dad, I could.
I got 25 cents every time when I score, but I get $1 with the assist. So I start, I want to make some money too, so I start passing more puck,
But that pain that you talked about, so how long did that happen? Did you play through that your whole career?
No, it's only about a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
And then, it goes away, but that was pretty critical time. Like I said, age 15, you're a teenager, and if you lose the passion and fun for the game, you start looking for that fun somewhere else.
Well, I think it's also interesting, too, because watching you play over the years, it was almost like you knew where the puck was going to be. And that was something that Nick Lidstrom always said, that he said he was going where the puck's going to be, not where it is. And that's something that aspect of your game, I think, enabled you to be there so often in the mix.
Yeah.
And is that something that you kind of developed as time went on in that?
I think it's a part of the instinct also. I think those are the things you can't really teach, I think I always said that by watching other players and watching the game, you get ideas and wow, the puck went there, but when you play, you don't have time to think, it's all reaction. And a lot of times, like I said, the instinct's gonna, make you go somewhere. And I was always good with that. I tried to find to be the right time in the right place. But like I said, by watching, I learned so many good things from Jari Kurri, Wayne Gretzky, Mike Bossy. I try to copy what they do and try to bring those in my game. And I always tell the young players to watch the best players how they do things.
Well, that was what I was going to ask. So when you come, like a buddy of mine, Shane O'Brien, who he's
OB,
yeah, you assisted on his
right outside.
He's outside. You assisted on his first goal, and he would talk about the effect that you would have on the young guys just by showing up at the rink. So when you were first starting your rookie year, who were the guys that were around that you were actually playing with that were a little bit older? Who were some of the guys Bossy and those guys were were way before you, right?
Yeah, way before.
Right.
Yeah.
So who were some of the veterans that you learned from?
So when I went to Winnipeg, there was a lot of good old players, Randy Carlyle, and but at that time, it was different because they were way tougher for young guys. There was almost rules that young guys, when the team is in the locker room, rookies, they don't talk.
Right.
They just listen,
Right.
And
that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
We should still probably do that.
It was more like a old school hockey, And
your book, you also said about the shaving thing.
My God, there's so many terrible stories.
That's what we
want
to
do
hear.
with the rookies. Oh no, you don't want to hear.
That's exactly what we want.
That's what we're here for.
But now there's only rookie dinner now, and you have to maybe sing or something, tell jokes or whatever, something fun. But they make you do brutal things, And it was not fun time. And actually, when I got to the Winnipeg, we had 5 other rookies, and Mike Smith was a GM, and he said nobody touched the rookies, because. They used to be shaving all the hair. You were naked in the ping pong table, and they shaved every hair they find it anywhere.
Oh my God!
And
we do that to the interns.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal.
But it's funny. Like when you're young, you want hair grow, and then when you get older, you just shave it.
So that scene in Youngblood was real,
right?
That scene in Youngblood was real.
Totally.
But it was different.
It grows back.
Different time, and
so Randy Carlyle was like he was like a veteran that everybody sort of would look up to, and
there was Thomas Steen and a lot of good guys.
Right.
I think it's very important to help young players to feel comfortable and especially the guys who come from Europe. It's a totally different lifestyle and culture, and there's so many things what they have to adjust. So I always felt that I want to help young guys I gave them some of my cars, and just I try to make sure that they don't have to worry about anything else than just play hockey, and it was fun. It's fun to help.
Like a family mindset.
Absolutely. I mean, the rookies, I think, are up against it when they come. I mean, it is such a transition to go from whether you're coming from the juniors or the AHL and getting into the NHL. So many of our guests who've been on the Dr. Hockey podcast have said it is a different level in a way that I can't put it into words. It is just night and day what you're doing one day, and then all of a sudden you're in the show called the NHL. The level of play is a multiple of difference.
Oh, absolutely! It's the toughest league in hockey, and everything what comes with it. It's hard, and even a little bit help here and there. It's a huge thing, but I think it has a little change. I admire these young guys, 18-year-old kids who comes to the league right now, and they are ready to play right away. It's amazing.
Physically that they're able to play.
Yeah, and they're so prepared already. when I came to I got drafted obviously when I was 18. I came to the training camp at the time. I was in Army that time. In Finland, it's a mandatory Army service. So, but I got a couple of weeks off for good reason. So I came to the Winnipeg training camp, and I realized how the competition and how hard the way how they battle and they want that job. They're willing to do anything to beat this guy next to and they take the job. And there's no way I could be ready at age 18 to come and compete. And I always remember there was 5-6 fights in the first practice and blood everywhere. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
I don't want to stay. I can't play here. It's this is way too tough league. But obviously you start get used to it, that stuff. 18-year-old kids now, it's amazing how good they can be. And I'm a little bit worried about actually when they come here. Everything is fine as long as you play well, but when things start going south a little bit and you're struggling, they don't have the supporting cast around. And this is a brutal life. There's not enough help when things go bad. The coach doesn't talk to you, your teammates, your healthy scraps. The other guys maybe not talk to you. You don't know any. You're just so down, And I'm worried about that 18-year-old kids, how strong they are mentally. And
they're kids. They're 18.
They're still kids, Yeah.
And you talk about the rookies and the rookie dinners, but Shane O'Brien said you ordered 2 steaks at his rookie dinner. Is that true?
So I was just hungry. No, the best thing is obviously you want to eat and you want to drink the most expensive stuff.
Oh my God!
And I had this tradition when I got older that I always order a bottle of Louis XIII cognac, and obviously I wanted to have a shot with the rookies, and honored and welcome to the league, and then whoever else wants to have a glass of nice cognac, and then. I asked at the end of the night that if one of the rookies want to take the bottle. The bottle, first of all, it's beautiful. It's very expensive.
The bottle alone is worth more than a
$700.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but they didn't know that it's expensive, and they don't like cognac. So I always kept the bottle, So
you sip it, guys.
Yeah.
You sip it.
Okay, I keep it.
You know what? You're a real altruist that way. That's good of you to do that. Yeah.
And also too, the other thing I question when you talked about sort of the foreign players and not understanding the language, does it get? I don't want to say cliquey, but in the locker room, I mean, I think if I went, I'm a friendly guy, but if I went to Russia and I didn't speak the language, I would probably gravitate towards the guys on the team that spoke English, right? It makes sense. So does that ever get in the way of chemistry, or how do guys work through that?
Absolutely. And there's always danger. Like my first year, we had 5 rookies from Russia. And pretty much none of them spoke very good English. Right. We have a translator, but when we went to team dinners or something, they were in the one corner, and I felt sorry for them. Right. But because we all tried to help, but they didn't understand what we're talking about, and especially on the ice in the practice when the coach tried to
yelling at them,
explain, and they don't get it, and he gets frustrated, and we are like, whoa, relax, we have to explain, show it, right. But so there's some issues about when you come from different country, and but a lot of guys also laugh for them, they almost think that they're stupid, and I think that's always bothered me because like you said, it's a good example. When you think that if I would go to Russia and I don't understand, nobody talks English, how you gonna feel it?
Yeah.
You feel pretty lonely.
Listen, I was in Malaga for 3 months, and I literally couldn't find like anything. And I made a promise. I will never walk by someone in a foreign land that seems lost ever again in my life. I will stop and make sure, because it's crazy when you're not even close to communicating anything. It's really frustrating, and trying to be on a team and fit in and all those other things. Yeah, I think that would be tough for me.
Oh, it's got to be brutal, especially you're trying to talk about something that's so high level is professional NHL hockey,
right.
And now you're having to speak a language that Russian to English is not an easy transition.
No, it's not.
But did you speak? Russia's your neighbor. Did you speak any Russian growing up?
No,
or not at all.
No, a couple bad words. But the problem, like,
well, that's useful.
The problem in Russia is, like, in Finland, we have all the shows are English shows.
Yeah. No.
So, and there's only subtitles in Finnish. So
Right.
we hear English, and
All
that's
the
how
time.
you learn. But Russia, like they just like dope that you watch Dallas TV show and they're speaking Russian,
Yeah.
and you don't hear that English. You're never gonna learn.
I've heard
Dallas,
myself,
the TV show.
I've
That
heard
was
my-
my-
dated
that was my
yourself
favorite show.
hardcore.
I've heard
It's
myself
still on in
speaking.
Finland, don't
I've
worry.
seen myself speaking Arabic.
It's newly released
and it's
there.
a weird thing. It's a weird thing. Like, they just dub it. They don't do any
Yeah,
subtitles.
exactly.
They just have a guy acting out
that
your
must be
role.
funny.
It's weird.
What?
I've been in countries, and like an episode of Entourage has been on, and I'm like watching them speak. I was in Egypt and I was watching them speak. I was like, wow, that's really weird.
They allow that show there?
I guess so. I saw,
Wow.
well, they do. Yeah, it was on.
It's heavily edited.
Yeah, right?
I don't know.
It's only 14 minutes long there.
Well, I want to get back to the book. What was your reason for wanting to do this? What did you say? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this memoir and talk about it. What inspired you to write my life?
Well, I think it was early 2000 when my friends started talking about that you should write the book, and 2003, I thought I was done with my knee. I thought, honestly, I don't know if I'm going to play hockey again. And so we started thinking about even more, and we started actually writing it a little bit. And then it was a lockout. We had a lot of time to talk about and sit down with a glass of a couple with red wines and and try to memorize all the good stuff. And it was fun process, because a lot of times you forget things, and then when you start thinking about and talking about it, it brings those flashbacks back and the feelings. When I was telling some stories, I got goosebumps because it felt so good to go through those things, and some bad things also. Like, it's just, it was a nice process to do it. And but then I decided to play another year, and then I tried to retire. Then I add one year. So actually, this book
that didn't work out.
Yeah, it took 10 years to come to finish the Finnish book first. And then, I was not so excited about the English book. I thought it was enough to do the Finnish version. But then again, my body said you should do English as well. And it's a little different book than the Finnish version. And it's just something that it's last forever, and a lot of fans, I think they will appreciate this.
For sure.
Book,
Well, and I thought there was just there's a lot in there that people wouldn't know about you, especially like your young life and how you were growing up. Jason and I were talking about
The family dynamics, I think, was a little different than what you consider for a traditional family, if you will. Your twin brother was more or less kind of like your goalie.
Yeah,
training, making sure you were protected.
That must have been fun for him.
It's a funny story, because obviously, like, he was a goalie, and he thought that he's not a very good goalie because I always scored. So I stole his confidence, and then when I made the
damn.
NHL, he said, well, I got misjudged because I thought I was just bad, but you can score for anybody else too. So. But he gave me the confidence, so I appreciate that.
He was playing with everybody else going, wow, this is easier than I thought. This isn't so hard.
I remember so many times when we were practicing on the street or our yard or in the hockey rink, and he was crying that he couldn't stop me. And he said he threw his glove and blockers. I quit. I'm not gonna play again. But then it's just right. Come on, you're not that bad. And he came back and.
You're like, I'm going to be really good. I promise. This is all going to make sense one day.
But it was perfect to have a private goalie, and because when Nico shoots some pucks with an empty net, it's not so much fun. It's fun, but not like that.
A private goalie. That's your brother. I like this. Yeah, right?
But you need that.
But same hand, like my older brother, he was a good hockey player too until he started hanging around with the wrong people. And I tell the story in the book that, you know, when you realize that your brother is 14 years old and he started using drugs, you know, and, you know, he disappears for 3 days. We don't know where is he. There's no cell phones. We don't know his bodies. You know, my dad and my mom goes, try to find him somewhere. He comes back. He's totally like mess, you know, and then little by little he started using, you know, worse drugs and then heroin, and then you see that it's really tough to watch that, and even today, you know, even he has to go in the clinic every day to get his daily medication, and it's just like example that like how you can screw your life when you start hanging around with the wrong people and do wrong things, and because when you start that road, it's hard to like, you know, turn around. Even
in the book, you commented that when you got here and started playing, and you saw how not only a lot of the veterans, not a lot, but most of the veterans would not stay in shape during the year. You couldn't understand that, or that they would be going out and drinking, and it wasn't your scene to do that. Was it the fact that you were just so dedicated to the sport and had that your dad's guidance that really focused you so much, like a laser focus, or was there something else that inside of you that just wasn't going to give in to those temptations?
You know, the thing is, obviously, my dad's side, I got the discipline, and you get what you deserve, and believe and hard work and stuff, and the dedication, and obviously I was drinking too, but I always picked the right time. I never went out to drink night before the games. I think that's one thing what you have to respect the game and your teammates, that you don't. There's the story in the Olympics. I think with Nagano, I thought we were gonna win the gold there, and then a couple guys went to drink after this, you know, the quarterfinal.
What? Name names.
No, I don't
do
know.
it.
No,
come on.
No, but you know,
he's dying. Look, he's dying too.
I know.
I think it's so selfish. Like we're talking about the Olympics. You play that every 4 years, and you don't know if you're gonna play next Olympics. You don't get this chance very often, and then you screw that with a couple of 2, 3, 4 guys doing some stupid things. Right. So we play semi-final game against Russia, and we go to the breakfast, and there's a noise in the one room. There's 4 of our players totally drunk, still drinking.
Oh. That's awful.
And you know, it's just like
that's disappointing.
Like,
yeah, that's just awful.
Yeah. It's a sad story, you know, and then.
Well, you're right. It is selfish.
Yeah,
it's selfish.
Yeah.
You know?
And, and the thing is,
to your country, to everything.
It's
I mean, the list goes on and on.
2 weeks.
It's 2
Just
weeks.
wait.
Yeah.
Right.
Drink whole summer if you want, but don't
win that gold medal. Will taste a lot better. That's for sure.
It was a sad
for
story,
sure.
you know, and that's why in 2007 the Stanley Cup, we tried to remind each other every day that this is gonna be probably the last chance for most of us.
Right.
And just let's do the right things. Let's leave everything out there. The dedication has to be 100% if we want to win. And we all know how hard it is to win. And Getzlaff and Perry probably they thought that it's first full year. Oh, I'm gonna win four, 5 Stanley Cups.
We're gonna do this every year. We're gonna do this every year.
But now they realize it's so hard, you know. And thank God we won that year, because I don't think like guys like me and Pronger and Son O'Donnell and Todd Marchand, we would never have another chance like this. So
right. Well, also too, obviously, I mean, you played at a really interesting time where you kind of were on both sides, because the game has changed so much, and you obviously, you know, speed was always part of your game. The game is so fast now, and the rules have changed. What's your stance on sort of the drop off in fighting and they're quick to call a penalty, and how do you feel the game has gone in that direction?
You know, I have mixed feelings. Because I really like the game. I'm almost a little jealous that I didn't play this time.
Right.
Well, in the end,
because nobody would touch you.
Yeah.
And still be scoring.
And the thing is, like my game was speed and skills, you know. And in the back in the days, there was a lot of two good lines every team, but then third and fourth was not so good, and big slow tough defensemen, a lot of holding, grabbing, hooking, cross checking. The game was violent.
Yeah, if you went to the net, you got smashed.
Yeah,
now they call a penalty.
Exactly, but the thing is, honestly I miss fighting. You know, I think I played the era that I had George Powers, Ty Domi, those guys. They make my job feel safe, and I can concentrate my game and I always remember the stories that like I played against Detroit, and there's a couple of guys doing something stupid and playing too violent, and Ty Domi got enough. He went to Steve Eisenman and said, Stevie, this guy's touched one time Selanne, I'm gonna kick your ass. So he went to tell those guys, knock it out. Like I'm gonna get killed here.
Pay.
Yeah. So you were accountable.
There's
at the
accountability.
time. Now there's nothing. You're gonna get suspended right away if you try to protect your teammates. I think now you can do a lot of stupid stuff without any payback, you know. So,
there's no ramification.
Yeah.
But this is a very sensitive area to talk about. Now somebody says, I can't believe Selanne said that, you know, there should be fighting, and then this guy is struggling with head problems. I don't mean that. I'm just like...
Right.
You're talking about accountability.
Exactly.
Accountability. You run our guy, you're going to have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Listen,
I love the idea of Ty Domi threatening Eiserman. I'm going to hold you accountable for your guys.
And
That's
the
even
thing
better.
is, you know, like this game is so unique, you know. And it's okay to play hard and tough and physical,
Yeah.
but there has to be enough respect. You know?
Right.
Yeah, well, that's part of it too. Is that is a thing I definitely noticed, especially growing up in the '70s, watching games. Like there was definite respect amongst the players. No matter how hard they played against each other, got into fights afterwards, they were all friends. They were all in the NHL. There weren't as many teams, so they all knew each other. And certainly, as the league is expanded, you have players coming from, you know, all walks of life. They're coming in from college. They're coming in from the juniors. They're coming in from Europe. It sort of causes a little bit more of a disconnect between that cohesiveness of the league. And I think that's probably, you know, a part of it as well, that they don't have that knowledge of each other as we're all friends in this game.
It's good that you said that, because it's so true. In the old days, we didn't have a charter flights. So we stayed in every city after the games. So, and the greatest things I always remember when you stay in Calgary and you go to the bar, and there's those two tough guys, one our guy and one their guy, and they were fighting like crazy on the ice, and they having beer together and laugh.
Right.
And that's what that's what it's all about, you know. And it's kind of sad that we always have to leave after the games, and we go to new city, and we don't get that feeling anymore.
Right.
And we used to know every player in other team too, you know.
Right.
And when you put the skates and helmet on, it's a battle. But off the ice, you know, we can have those beers after the games and talk
Totally.
about, and it's a respect, you know.
Clark Gillies, who's a Hall of Famer, you know, he played without a helmet, and I asked him, I'm like,
Badass.
and he said, kind of to your point, if you ran a guy, you'd kill him, and
Yeah.
we weren't out there to kill each other. It was on you to not kill a guy on the other team. You could beat him up, you could rough him up, but it was your responsibility, because protection was different, to not run a guy into the boards knowing you're going to hurt him. You know,
Exactly.
They said they were aware of that, and they didn't do that because they're not trying to kill anybody on the ice, trying to win the game.
Exactly. That era, the guys talking about that, when there was no helmets, the guys didn't go in your heads, you know. They knew it's going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt that guy. Same thing with the visors. You know, sticks stayed down way more before, because now there's a visors, and they're not careful anymore. They use the sticks like all over, and it's always here. In the old days, it was here, you know.
That's why
Because they
football's
knew
gotten
they
more
didn't want to hit
violent.
anybody
Exactly,
in the face.
Yeah.
and same with the gear, the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
If you want to run this guy over, you're gonna get hurt too, you know.
Yeah,
Now the pads are so good that you know you can
Especially
go
Kevin.
100 miles in the wall and it doesn't hurt, you know.
The pads have changed too, and a lot of
like body
people
armor.
think that that's part of the problem too with the hits. When you had those those different kinds of shoulder pads, it was different. Now it's like body armor, running the guy into the boards.
Oh, that
whole
stuff's
game is-
unbelievable. Yeah, the body armor that they wear definitely makes it easier to take somebody, you know, hard into the boards and not get hurt. If you didn't have that body armor, that hit is going to hurt you as much as it's going to hurt them, because you're unprotected. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of different things that have caused the game to go in the direction it is. But, you know, we were able to talk to Doc Emmerich last night, and he said, you know, if you're looking for it to be like it was before, then you're going to be disappointed because things change and they're going to go forward. So you have to kind of take what you have and find the joy in it as it is, because it's not going to be like it was ever again. And he's right.
But he also was sort of on your with your sentiment, which is like, yeah, he misses not necessarily the fighting, but the accountability and standing up for your guys and earning points with your team. He said the same thing. And it's funny, too, because he didn't want it to be taken out of context either.
Right.
He was like, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to say anything about fighting, but to your point, he was about the accountability and the excitement of like standing up for your guy and having to answer the call, right? So
well, and he says as long as it's in the rule book, it's part of the game. Yeah, and it is. It's still part of the rule book. You definitely get in fight, and you get 5 minutes in the penalty box, and that's how that goes. Well, I think Mia, you had a question you want to ask him too about
what is it like to play against Alex Ovechkin?
Just normal.
Wow.
You know what?
Yes.
You know what?
I'm going to go home now.
He probably doesn't have the same feelings that you have about him.
oh man,
No,
the Russian machine.
Ovi is a great player. I always enjoy to play against. And what's great players? Ovi is one of them, and obviously his shot and ability to score goals is something very unique. I think he's probably the best pure goal scorer of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I still think that playing against him, it's. I don't think he brings anything that I'm gonna get up from my seat. Like if you look, and you know what? Okay, let's put this straight. I love this guy, and I love to watch. But like, if you look, Connor McDavid.
Okay.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're saying you don't like Ovechkin. No, I'm kidding.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Joking.
No, but that's why this league is so good now. Because every team has unbelievable players. You watch Islanders. You like?
Yes, I do like.
How good is Matt Barzal?
He's unbelievable.
I love to watch that guy.
1 years old. I mean,
and he can. Same thing, Connor McDavid. He's so. Every time when he's on the ice, something great happens, and you feel how excited the fans get.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
He's something.
Oh, Barzal's amazing. And it's,
now he's amazing.
No, he's always been amazing. Right? But I didn't think he should be the captain. And I got in the argument with the guys in Long Island about that.
Well, he's not.
I know he's not.
The
but they're like, he should be the captain. He should be the captain. I said, Anders Lee should be the captain. They're like, we're never having you on here again. That was basically
and not always the best player has to be captain.
Well,
I mean, a lot of times they do, but
I mean, is Patrick Kane even an assistant captain? He's not even. Doesn't even have an A on his chest, does he?
I think he does.
He does. Yeah.
I think he does. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I just saw him the other night.
I mean, he's one of my. I mean, watching this guy is unbelievable.
But it's so funny. We are always talking about when the media start talking about the greatest leaders of all time. They don't know anything.
Right.
Where they get their stories.
Based on what, right?
Yeah, like
that's true.
I have played. I don't want to say any names, but I have played a lot of players.
But you're pointing at me. You sound really upset.
A lot of times. No, not upset, but I'm just laughing that somebody like media is talking about this is one of the greatest leaders of all time. He's whatever. They have no idea what this guy brings for the team. Some guys are very vocal. They don't even have to be a great player. It just brings something in the dressing room that helps everybody. Positive attitude, whatever, Some guys lead the example on the ice.
Leadership comes in many forms.
Exactly. So, and then you hear that this guy is unbelievable leader. I said, you play too in this league, It's so funny. But even they are great leaders. But when they start talking about greatest leaders of all time, and they don't even know the league players.
Right.
It's just so funny that they think they know.
Well, let's take the opposite of that.
So again, another shot of Ovechkin. Teemu again going.
Hey, when you win the Stanley Cup, you get a lot of.
I want to take the opposite of that, though. Name names if you want. There's got to be people that are sometimes a cancer in the locker room and things that we don't see that are just disruptive, and the guys are like, "Why is this guy on the team?"
Yeah, how about the four guys that got liquored up after?
Well, besides those guys,
before the gold medal game.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't. The hockey is so unique game that honestly, I haven't met the bad guy in hockey. And I think it's about the team and the pack, like if there's a couple guys or one guy who's behaving badly, the rest of the pack is looking after that and straight things out. Right. And that's why this is so unique sports and our backgrounds most of the players have very very similar backgrounds. They come with the good families, good values, and they respect the people and that's it's so important. Like I always remember my mom and dad best advice they told me that. treat the people the way you want them to treat you, and you're never going to have any problems.
You know, you mentioned Connor McDavid, and you do own a steakhouse. So I have to tell you about a little bet that Kevin and I had, and Doc Emmerich was actually in on it when we started this podcast. But it was 1 year I said, I don't think he's going to get to 100.
Year. It was second year in the league. He wasn't buying the hype, and he said, no way he scores 100
So there's no way he's getting to 100 points. And Emmerich backed me up. He said, he's a great player, but I don't think the Oilers this year can support him to get to 100. So I said, all right. And, of course, Kevin over there was like, definitely 100 points, no problem. Bet you a steak.
I'll bet it, yeah.
So he said, dinner at
Let's
Mastro's.
go to Teemu's.
But we are not going to go to Mastro's.
We're going to Teemu's.
We're going to go to Teemu's Steakhouse. And
anybody order a Louis the Third. What is it? The cognac?
First, you're going to have a steak, Lord Stanley. 38 ounce Wagyu bone-in ribeye.
Love it.
And then you're going to have the Louis XIII.
Louis the 13. Wash it down with a Louis the 13.
It's going to be expensive.
It's like the old 96er from Great Outdoors.
Well, listen, there's going to be
another 80s movie reference. Here he goes. He's still going. Firefox.
That's all I know.
So we're going to. And if you have not been to the Selanne Steak Tavern in Laguna Beach, it is a definite highlight of the cuisine in Southern California. Never mind Los Angeles. Never mind Orange County or San Diego. It is the place to go. I don't know how you did it.
And you know what? He's not just saying that because you're here. He's been talking about this steakhouse. Yeah, he's been talking about the steakhouse for a minute. So
we were
there to come down
night.
And cash in that bet.
So Chris and I went there one night, and I was like, I wonder how often Teemu comes over here. He walks right past me. I was like, the words are coming out of my mouth. Like there's a bubble sitting there, and this guy drives right, walks right past me. He's unlocking this replica Stanley Cup or something. Right?
Yeah.
So you're getting it out of the cabinet, and then you walked away with it to go show somebody or something. And she goes, well, I guess he comes here quite a bit. That must be his Stanley Cup or something.
He must have a good wine locker.
And the wine locker's going to be
Obi and I are going to have to pop in there, huh?
But I tell you, the place is incredible, and that's it's the food's great. And I don't know who your chef is, but I think it's the same guy you've had the whole time, right?
We have a second chef now, and we are so lucky with our staff. I'm so proud of them, and we try to actually. It's so important. It's like a hockey team, You want to make sure they're all happy, and they have to be good leaders. Our bartenders, our staff behind the kitchen, they're unbelievable. And the waitresses and waiters, they take a pride to do the right things, and it's fun to go there, and I'm always very proud and happy when I hear good stories about and good experience when the people go there, and it tells me something that last almost 3 years, our staff hasn't changed much, and that's interesting because a lot of people come and go, and
totally.
They try to find something better or whatever. But it makes me feel very good that they're happy there and they work hard.
And that's a tough business, man.
It's a tough business.
It's a really, really, really tough business.
Was the transition hard? Sorry to interrupt.
No,
for me.
Yes.
No, it was not. Obviously traveling over 20 years in NHL, best cities, we always been the best restaurant. And I always wanted to have our own steakhouse. And actually, we were looking for 10 years.
He's also had good contracts. He could hit every steakhouse. A lot of these guys are out there
For 10 years, we're looking for some good location in PCH, either Laguna or Newport. And 10 years before, we found this unique old house, what used to be French 75. And it took 1 year to just do all the work, the way how we wanted that the restaurant look. And I love to go there, and the bartenders, they're unbelievable. They're almost like a chemist now. They go home and they try to do they try to find the next big drink,
Right.
And every time when I go there, hey team, you gotta taste this, and I
it's an apple Switzer with a twist of.
And then in the end of the night, I take Uber home.
Jaeger bomb.
Yeah, there's no way you're driving home from that restaurant. No, we never drive. To
tasting too many of them.
It's too good. But I gotta say, the guy that waited on us was, because we went there right when it opened, because we'd gone to French 75 for a long time, and then we saw you'd opened the place up. So Chris and I head down there and we tried it out, and the first time we went, it was amazing. And then when we were just back there, and I think we've been there a couple times in between, but we had the same waiter. Your wait staff hasn't changed. The food's incredible. The menu's evolved. And you're a man of many talents. You're an author. Now you're a restaurateur.
I don't want to take too much credit over this, but I'm proud of that place.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
also too, when you win a Stanley Cup in a place, especially one that's never won, you are officially. I mean, you're locked in
Legend.
for life,
Yeah.
forever. Right? That's the place to open a steakhouse, in the place
Totally.
that you won. You won the cup. You're forever immortalized,
And doing it before your crosstown rival.
yeah,
That's also even bigger.
Yeah, it was a little bonus, but I think I would open that even if I would
Right.
not win. But the only thing what I have in the restaurant about hockey is the mini Stanley Cup and my 4 Olympic medals there.
Wow.
And when we realized as a hockey fans, sometimes we bring the medals out and people get nuts when they can hold and take a picture of those 4 medals.
for
So,
sure.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, well, just wait till the Dr. Hockey crew comes down.
oh nice. Don't steal
Yeah,
it.
this could be it. This might be the end of the Steak Tavern. It could come down. No, it's really great, and it's amazing that you've been able to do so much. In terms of your next moves, what's next? I mean, are you going to get back into? Is there a chance you're going to be a coach? Or are you going to get into scouting? Are you going to do anything with the NHL in the future, or is it just going to be continuing to do more and more business to evolve even further?
That's a tough question. I have been actually waiting if I get any itchy to get back in the hockey business some way. I do a little PR and charity work for the Ducks, and so far it has been enough for me. But pretty much living 30 plus years with somebody else making schedule, I've been really enjoying that I can manage my own time, and I'm very active, play tennis, golf. We have 4 kids, the restaurant, everything. So I don't know if I would have time to even do that. But even if I would start getting that little itchy, I wanna make sure that it's almost like you have to have the same passion than as a player. And it's so time consuming to start doing that. The coaching staff they spend more time on the rink than as a player.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if I'm ready
sure.
to do that. I'm enjoying to be free with the time, and you can in Southern California you can surf in the morning, you can play tennis after, golf same day, and then drive 2 hours for skiing. So
I was going to say you can surf and ski in the same day.
it's unbelievable.
That's pretty
I
cool.
love it. So maybe I don't.
So the answer is no.
Well, it's funny. Dallas Eakins is my old teammate from Winnipeg, and he's the head coach for the Ducks. And I have had a couple of times dinner with him, and he wants me to start coming in and maybe be first mentor for the young guys, and just. I think he would try to suck me into technically.
Absolutely.
That's how it
But,
starts. Gateway.
Yeah. So maybe I start like a couple times a week to just show up and hang around and see how much I love it.
But you're also a hockey dad, too. Isn't one of your sons playing college, I believe? Or?
Yeah, one in college, one in junior hockey in Dallas, and
Wow.
but the thing is,
The Texas Stars?
Texas Brahmas.
Oh, okay.
So, but the thing is, like, the one sad thing about being and playing hockey a long time is that you miss a lot of your family stuff, and and the way and how disciplined you have to be to live pro hockey life, and a lot of times, the kids and the family, you have to be very selfish, And when the kids want to go to Disneyland and you have game tomorrow or something, he said, "Dad, let's go to the movie. Like I can't just go and walk whole day in the hot day in the Disneyland and be able to play well next day." So that's why now when I don't play anymore, I try to take those time back and spend time with the kids and families, and so that's why I don't know if I would have time to start coaching. And
No, Dallas is he's a great coach. I think he's
Great
going to do
coach.
very well for the Ducks. He did say the only way that he's making it into the Hockey Hall of Fame, as far as he can tell, is because he was on the ice when you
Yes.
scored the goal, threw your glove up, and shot it with the hockey stick. He's the guy that catches the
Yes.
glove. So he's like, I'll be in the Hockey Hall of Fame on that clip.
He'll be in there in some capacity. He'll be in there in some
I think there's plenty of time for him to make it to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Maybe not as a player, but I think as a coach, he's got a. This guy's good.
It's true though. Those coaches, there's no off season for coaches.
No.
They take it. They
No,
go to Hawaii for a week and then they're right back at it.
And think about
for sure.
like I always said that the coach, you have to handle 25 different guys different way. Like I always remember that stories like the good coach is almost like he has to know each one their personalities. I remember Andy McDonald, great hockey player and so fun, and my line mate, we won the Stanley Cup together, but he was the guy that if you start yelling at him, he goes in his shell and he can't perform, you know. So he's the guy you almost have to give a hug and tell.
Right.
Then you have Dustin Penner. You have to yell at him.
You got to yell at him a lot, is my guess.
You know what? The funny story, when we won the Stanley
He's
Cup,
a beast.
and Randy Carlyle, he was yelling him every day. Can we swear here?
Yes.
Of course you can.
So he said, the Penner, every day, like at least 15 times. He was a little lazy, you know, whatever. So then when we won, I asked Penner, how was your season? Oh, Teemu, it was tough. Well, a lot of days I thought my first name is
Were you around for the pancake incident, the famous pancake incident, or is that after? I think that might have been after. Dustin Penner he pulled his muscle in his neck, and when they asked him what happened, he ordered pancakes to the hotel, and he reached over for his pancakes, and he twisted his neck, and he missed the games. And then players in the stands are putting like the maple, like he'd be in the penalty box. He'd be in the penalty box, and they'd be putting maple syrup behind him.
That's funny.
Oh my God!
You know,
he's a piece of work. He is the only guy to win. He won with the Kings and the Ducks. That's not
great guy too.
Great guy.
But
Just a beast.
that's just an example that you can't treat everybody the same.
No.
You have to find to get best of out for everybody different ways, and that's how good coaches do it.
Yeah, I think Bob Murray was talking about that a bit. He said, and it's really different now because a lot of the kids, you know, who are coming up, they expect to be treated totally differently than what he would do. And he said, like, it's really different. You know, you have to be able to, you know, be the best friend to one, then you have to be the missing parent to the other, and then you have to be the angry enemy to another. And he said it's very hard to coach these kids because they come from so many different backgrounds and so many different ways of being trained that it's really variable. And he said it wasn't that way, you know, 20 years ago. Kind of there was a standard, and that's what everybody fit into.
It was the coaches used to yell everybody, and now there's less yelling, and they try to talk, and it's like a nice way, you know. And that's how it should be. I
think it's good. I mean, I think that the coaching is going to have to evolve as well. It's got the whole game.
Some people respond to yelling and some don't, right? So some guys get motivated by getting yelled at and humiliated, and other guys, like you said, shut down, and that's not the way to go, right? Yeah. The object is to get the best out of your players. So.
Do you have any other questions, Dr. Berkeley, that we didn't get to for Mr. Selanne here?
I actually have a lot, but we have limited time. Your name's on the cup. Do you ever wake up at 2 a.m. and just sit up in bed and say, my name's on the cup? The reality of that is just because there's a lot of players that we've rooted for, whether it was Ovi before he got his. We rooted for Iginla. You know, I'm a Red Wings fan, so I mean, but
yes, you are.
I'm a diehard Wings fan. But
yes, he is.
There's also players in the league that you root for because you know they're good guys. Ray Bourque was one of the guys that you wanted. He's got to get a cup. You were one of those guys, okay, and you got your name on there. Would it have been something that you would have felt unfinished business had you not done that?
Absolutely. I don't think I would be this happy person if I would not win the Stanley Cup. And it's a sad, like that's why when Ovi won the cup, I was so happy for him. When you have to wait a long time something, and if you look, he looks Sidney Crosby, there a good rivalry going on, and Sidney win many Stanley Cups, and he's not. You know, I know for a fact that it bothered him. And now, not only because of that, but the overall, they say that you never the greatness doesn't come before you win the cup, you know. But it's kind of not true because if you looked at the list of players who has never won,
it's pretty impressive.
It's unbelievable. They all would deserve to win, and especially the old days. When I came in the league, I think the free agent, I think the age was 35, and then it dropped 33. Now it's 25 or 26. So if you got drafted in the team that was not good team, and they didn't even want to build a team, they didn't have money.
Not even
whatever.
trying.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're stuck with that team. You're never going to win the Stanley Cup, and you can't just move. You know, or you can ask to be traded, but you can't control where you go. Yeah.
Eric Lindros did the same thing. He said, I'm not playing in Quebec. And ironically, he probably would have won when they moved to Colorado.
But the thing is, my point is that you have to be at the right place, right time to win, and it's so hard. It's so hard to win, you know.
Well, I bringing that home, I remember that, speaking of the Islanders, Wayne Gretzky, after the 4th Cup win by the Islanders, he said that when the Oilers were leaving the building and the Islanders had just won the Stanley Cup, he said he walked by the locker room and he looked into the Islanders' locker room and he saw a bunch of guys that were icing down their legs. They were limping around. They just won the Stanley Cup, and he said the Oilers were in their suits and they were kind of waltzing out, all showered, looking like, you know, they were ready to play another game. And he said, if we're ever going to win a Stanley Cup, we're going to need to look like that next year. And the next year,
they cheated.
They won the Stanley Cup.
They did. Well, they changed the format, and then they won, and then they changed it back. But that's another episode. But that's really true.
But
they changed the playoff format. Islanders won 4 in a row, and then they changed the playoff format to 1. What is it?
Because they would have won 5 in a row.
They would have won 5 in a row.
I know they would. That's another podcast.
But it is true. Like the two months of war in the playoffs. First, you play 7 months just to get in,
right?
And
Totally.
then all those games doesn't matter anymore. And now the war starts. And you know what? I remember when our cup year. You know, like the finals, the quarterfinals. There was line, 5-6 guys. Sometimes 9. 9 guys was waiting for the doctor to give like a pain shot that they can play.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously it's not very healthy. We have a guys to do the blood work every 3-4 days to make sure that, you know, kidney and liver is fine with that. You're not supposed to use those painkillers that often, but
but if you got to get in the game, you got to get in the game.
It just shows like how much the guys want to win. You know, it's just like they're almost willing to do whatever it takes. You know, and that's why I always remember when we won, we decided right after that, you know what, we are not going to meet tomorrow. Everybody, you were so tired that you had no energy to even drink, you know.
Right.
So the best feeling after the cup, I went to home, like a bunch of my buddies came over and they got crazy, and I had a shot of Louis XIII.
That's the drink.
And the sun started coming up, and I had a cigar in my, watching the sun coming up, and
on the beach
by myself.
There you go.
By myself.
Take that moment for yourself.
It was something like
that's great. That is a moment too. I mean,
I do that with no Stanley Cup.
But it feels good, right?
Space with a cigar. Louis X. I can't afford that. Louis X.
You can get some Calvert Extra. That'll do it.
It's an old Coke bottle, actually.
Mad Dog.
Mia Khalifa. Any other questions for
not
Teemu
related
Selanne?
to the Capitals?
No, this was amazing.
Right.
Not related to the Capitals, so I'll hold on.
Hey, and I love Ovi, so yeah.
That's not what it sounded like on this
It's fine. I can take it. I'm used to it.
Yeah, he can take it. The Russian machine doesn't break.
Exactly.
He is on fire this year. Unbelievable.
He's going
to have 50 again.
I think
yes,
so.
he is.
Oh, yeah.
You think he'll
We
catch
love
Wayne?
Ovi. We love Ovi. Don't get us wrong.
If he stays healthy,
He's not the only player in the league.
You know.
It's other guys.
If he wants to play long enough and he stays healthy, I think he has a chance to.
That would be
That's
something.
Gretzky.
I mean, that's something you think Gretzky's...
If he plays 4 more years, he'll beat Gretzky.
Yep.
That's it.
He needs 6 more 50-goal seasons.
Yes.
He's
That's a
gonna.
lot of goals.
I think I'm the next guy who he's gonna pass.
Yeah. Right. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I think 16 goals behind me. Somebody told me yesterday. So it's maybe a couple.
Maybe
weeks.
we can slow that down.
Come back on the
Two
show.
weeks.
Probably by Christmas.
Before Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna send a video that says, "Ovi, why?
Right.
Why? You hurt my feet.
You should retire now. Like, it's time. You need to go do something else.
He needs a maintenance
Move to
day.
Southern
He needs a
California.
load management day. Load management time.
That's called the All-Star Game.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin Connolly, also a restaurateur, by the way, owns an incredible sports bar. And I was going to call
We don't have
you.
Louis the 13th.
Where is it?
No.
Where is it?
It's right down the street.
It's
Nice.
just down the street on 3rd. It's
Me and you and Obi can hit this up after. Obi's waiting
Oh, that
patiently
sounds
in the engineer
dangerous.
room.
They don't have Louis the 13th, but I was going to call you.
We
because
had the cup there.
I know.
We did have the cup there.
You did.
I didn't touch it. I was afraid Lou Lamoriello. I'm like, listen, the Islanders are like, whatever. They're in the first round of the playoffs. Like a bunch of Islander fans like holding the cup.
Yes, because touching is going to make a difference.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm superstitious.
I
I
hoisted
never
it.
laid a.
So you thought you're gonna
hoisted
win
the cup
that one?
over your
Yeah,
head?
I'll show you the picture.
You shouldn't be doing that. You're not
That's
supposed
why-
to.
That's why the Red Wings
I'm
are
so happy you
struggling.
did that because I think you should.
I had one chance to do it. I was actually at a party after Konstantinov got injured.
President's Trophy.
They had a party. His next door neighbor was my friend's girlfriend, and they had a party there. Everyone was drinking champagne out of the cup. And then afterwards, they said, okay, we're all done. The guy taking care of the cup takes it outside. Now, this is 1998.
Yeah.
Takes it outside to hose out the champagne, puts the cup down to go put the hose back. I have a disposable Fuji camera before cell phones. And I said to my friend, Mark, I'm never going to get another chance. Take the picture. He said, what? I go, take the picture. I grabbed the cup, pulled it over my head.
Broke a major rule of engagement.
Got the picture.
Broke a major rule.
We still won 2 cups after that. And the guy started screaming at me. He's like, "You don't deserve that." And I have the picture.
Jesus.
Perfect. Oh, what's this wee shit?
Oh, it's me.
What's this
It's we.
Oh, it was we. Oh,
I touched it as well, 1999.
You did?
Just in case, you know.
Just in case.
Yeah.
You touched it, or did you lift it over your head?
No, I was just like...
You can't... Well, listen, it's one thing
just
to
a little caress.
It's one thing to rub it. It's another thing to...
I'll show you the picture.
He
It's
put it over
worth
his
it.
head.
I believe you.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. When you see that the players are spending time with the Stanley Cup when they win,
Yes.
so what do you think when they let the dogs eat from the cup or
it's
something
awesome.
like?
I think that's probably the fucking easy I mean, come on.
Right,
Can you
we've heard some
imagine
other things.
not hurting, but let's do the math on that.
They put
Right.
naked
Come on.
babies' butts in there. Like
that's-
I'm more
that's
worried
probably
about
not the
that
only
than a
naked
dog.
butts that are in
Stop
there,
putting
too.
your
I'm guessing
newborns
there's
in
all
the
kinds
cup.
of
I
naked
think
butts
that's the
in there.
newborn is okay, but there's something what I don't like about the dogs and something like that.
It's a bit much. Sometimes it's a bit much what
I
people
think
do.
it's, but it's a great tradition, you know. It's
But every team has a team dog now, so
Yeah,
The dogs
get their
are the
day.
cleaner
The
things
dogs
that
get
are
their day
involved
with
in
the
that.
cup.
Trust me. Can you imagine what's going on? I don't even want to know.
How high are your jeans? Jesus Christ!
It's
Oh, yeah, there it is. Show,
Is that
show
an empire
Teemu.
waist?
Blasphemous.
That's
blasphemy.
Jesus Christ!
That's illegal. Blasphemy.
I was in my residency. I didn't have much money for clothes. Back off, Mia.
You look terrible.
hey, Mia,
Why are you
hey,
still
he's
dressed
not
like
supposed
that?
to be
Mia,
holding it over his
just
head like
focus
that.
in the Stanley Cup. Don't.
Hey, I was 240 back then from working out, so I could have. If I could skate, I could have
Hey,
played.
how heavy
It's
is it?
shiny.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, but it weighed about like a pound because it was such an adrenaline rush to do
Okay.
it.
Doc Emmerich
And,
said that was something he said. It went up, it's 2 pounds heavier.
Yeah, they
this
said
year
they
than
added
it
more
was.
hardware to
Yeah.
it.
They
So
added
now
bolts.
it's 35 pounds.
Is it because of the Capitals keg stand?
I was going to say probably Ovi probably
They
had something to do
banned
with
them
that.
from doing that now because of us.
I always remember when Chris Pronger gave it to me on the ice. It was my turn to raise the cup, and I have a little issue with my shoulder. But like, I was obviously tired, but you know, it felt very heavy.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure.
But what a feeling!
Yeah.
Yeah,
God.
that's a big one.
chills.
Jason can attest to that.
And I'm assuming, unlike my picture, you didn't have a pager on your uniform.
The bond that you and Jason share.
We are the
hoisting
only two in this
cup
room
over
that hoisted the cup.
Yes,
touched
there you go.
There
buddy.
you go. I love
Yes.
it.
Well,
Hey, Kevin, you got the chance.
Ridiculous.
You blew it.
I love it. Yeah, no, I'm super serious. I mean, like, I'll touch it. I mean, I brushed up against it, but I also didn't have any team colors on. I don't know. I made sure I wasn't all. I was afraid of Lou Lamoriello, to be totally honest with you.
I think you should be afraid of Lou Lamoriello.
By the way, they brought in the camera crew and the NHL. I'm like, guys, this is
that goal.
yeah. Well, not only that, but it's like the first round of the playoffs. Like, let's not go celebrating the Stanley Cup victory yet. This is horrible. So I was like pushing. I grabbed a 12-year-old kid and said, "Did you just touch that cup? You're not even old enough to be in here. Get the out of here. Whose fault? Where's your father? Get out of here. It's a bar.
This is a bar.
Kid's touching the cup in the first round. Get him out."
He's going to curse your whole bar. That's the worst. Well, listen, Teemu, we really appreciate you coming in. This is a blast. Great to hear about your book.
Good luck
and all
with
the
the
great
book.
stories.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
thank
want
you, guys.
want you to have great success with that, and we'll definitely look for you around Orange County, and we will bring the Dr. Hockey podcast to the Steak Tavern.
Nice.
We will be there. We have to
It's
do
gonna
it.
be an ASMR episode
and it's supposed to be in the
chewing.
next month, so
Yes.
prepare. Anyway, this is the Dr. Hockey podcast signing off with your prescription for the NHL.